this is going to be awkward because I got everything ready to come out here today to, one, I want to make a video, and two, I want to make something for, I want to make a leather sheath for something I have. Got everything here, and I forgot my tripod, so my phone is just sitting on a shelf over here, so it's going to be kind of strange for me. I'm used to just setting up the tripod and getting shots, but now everything's going to have to be handheld today. But I'm going to be making a sheath for, let me grab it, just because I want a better way to carry it around. It's a pocket tomahawk. It was a Christmas gift. I love these, kind of wacky, tacky little survival gifts and things. It's just, I don't know, I've always liked that kind of thing. So just going to make a little sheath for it, probably with a cover, and then I'll cut out the back so I could put it on my belt or, however I'm feeling. And then after I'm done making the sheath for it, I'm hoping to, I don't know, maybe make a video going out and testing it because, these little tacky survival things in quotes, sound good on paper, pocket tomahawk, carry it with you, but how good is this going to work if I put a good stick on it and, smack it around? So yeah, once we get this sheath made, I'll have to take it out and make a video about using it. It's sharp. It'd probably be easier just using it with your hand, kind of just as like a knife, but who knows, maybe fixing it with a good stick or something would actually make a pretty good little tomahawk. So I'll take you over to the workbench, get an idea of what we're doing today. Yeah, my workbench definitely needs cleaning again because I was out here yesterday, just did some things, and then kind of just left it as is. I wasn't really planning on coming back out today, but I, had a little bit of inspiration. So let's just get this cleaned up real quick. All right, there we go. Got my workbench nice and clean. Could use a good wipe down, but just getting all the trash off and kind of putting things back where they need to be is probably the best I'm going to get right now. But that's what we're working with, the little pocket tomahawk. I'm going to, make a little sheath for it, and then I want to snap on it. So we're going to use little 12-gauge snaps I have. Those are pretty popular when I'm making things for people just because, a lot of hunters and, gun-loving people really like having a little 12-gauge with their little personalized leather goods. But, it's a good start. I'll get a piece of leather out here and show you what I'm planning. So this is what I'm going to be using. I think it's 4 to 5 ounce leather, but I'm not using the whole thing. I'm going to be cutting a little square off this thing. Show you how I'm going to measure it out, mark it, so that, we have you always want to have a little wiggle room when it comes to sheaths, unless you really want a tight fit. But this thing, it can be a little loose. I'm not, too worried about it being completely snug in the sheath. Let me get a piece of this cut real quick. Whenever I'm cutting a piece of leather, I always want to make sure I have, quite a bit extra compared to the piece I'm making a sheath for, just because, you don't want to make it too tight, and then you're going to have a bunch of issues trying to, squeeze it into the little bit of leather you got. But that's what we're starting with. I don't need this big piece anymore, so I can just, yeah, that's fine. I'll get the chair pulled up here and get this measured out and start making our little sheath. So I have to apologize. My audio got really screwed up for this part, but basically I'm just showing you how I'm going to lay the pocket tomahawk out and use a compass to mark the edges. Right now I'm just seeing how the leather kind of folds over itself, getting an idea of how I want this sheath to be formed. Probably saying something really dumb and not really helpful. I'm good at that. But you want to grab, a compass, which is, or just, I don't know is it called a compass? I don't know. A scribing tool. And that way you can gauge, whenever you're making something, you want to have enough around the edges so that you can sew in that edge. Otherwise, if you just mark right along, close beside the piece, you're going to end up making it way too tight. You can see how, it made a little mark underneath that tomahawk there just on the leather. And I'm not worrying about marking up the leather because I'm going to be sewing over it anyway, so you won't be able to see it. So that's about it. Now that I officially got this square and about where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out, which, I'll need both hands for, So let me just get this cut out here. All right, and, that was bright. There it is all, cut out. I'll cut out the middle here, but yeah, just this little piece here is going to be where a stitch line is going to go right in the center of this to keep everything from wearing out and falling apart. So I'll cut that out. Yeah, now look, all that work for that little piece, but it's part of the job. So now on this piece, I'll figure out where exactly I want this to sit and how it's going to fold. Do I want half of it to come up this way and the other half come down and that's where it meets, or do I want like one full piece covering it? This is probably the longest part of the process for me, is just figuring out how I want it to be oriented, because that takes a little while for me. All right, hopefully you can get the idea now of what I'm doing. There's my gusset from earlier. I got it measured out and the lines marked for the outside edge of this, because if you measured everything from the inside edge, when you'd go to cut it, it'd be way too short. So this is about what I'm thinking. I'm going to cut this strip, so this will fold down over top. I'm going to have to cut another piece out to go over top of this. So that's why you use this piece. You can just cover it and get it measured out. So I'll get these measured out and cut, and show you the next part for getting the holes ready to be prepped and punched and ready to go. Oh yeah, it's coming together now. You can see the vision. There's the gusset sitting in there pretty nice, and once I get that other front piece on, it'll fold down here and snap. I don't know if I want it to go all the way down and snap, or if I want it like midway. I can, I got a lot of room to decide. I don't know if I want it to just be square, or if I want to cut a funny shape, or, I kind of find that stuff out as I go along, just depending on how I'm feeling. So I'm going to have to cut another piece out from this to go over top. And then I have the fun task of taping it all together so everything stays. So whenever I punch my holes, everything's lined up, and we'll be ready to go. But I'm going to go ahead and dye this piece black before I do anything else, just to add a little color pop in there. But how I usually dye things, I don't try to paint on with a brush. I use these paint marker things, fill them up with dye. I usually like to shake them before I use them. But you fill them up with dye, and all you got to do is pop it off. It's hard to do with one hand. And then basically just draw over. I can't really draw it. Or well, here we go. I can do this. Just draw over it, and it'll, dye it as you're drawing or coloring it in. And that actually saves, I think, a lot on your dye, because, you're not just smothering this thing with dye and getting it all covered and messed up. So I'm going to get this covered with black and come back in a second. That was quick and easy, getting it dyed black. I won't dye this side just because it won't be seen. A piece of the top part might be seen though, so I dyed it. But all the edges are dyed, so it'll be a good contrast. And please make sure to wear your gloves while doing this, because this stuff takes forever to come off of your hands. But now that I'm sitting here and I'm dyeing that, I might honestly dye this a different color. I don't know what yet. I have all sorts. I have purple, red, green, yellow, blue. I mean, I could do anything really. All right, I got this piece cut to go over that. I think honestly I might cut a half moon out of here just to make it a little easier to grab that. Still haven't decided if I'm going to dye this yet. I'd kind of like to, or I might just leave it alone, because once you start dyeing stuff, sometimes it can get pretty messy. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut a half moon out of this. When I'm saying half moon, I'm meaning just taking one of my circle cutters right here. And usually if I want like a little slot for my thumb to grab onto something a little better, I usually just line it up like that and smack it in. Just try to get it as close to half as I can and make sure there's enough on either side for, your little gusset you made, because you don't want to cut it too close and then not be able to stitch onto it. So that should leave us plenty of room. I'm going to go ahead and smack that and get her cut. All right, I got the little half moon cut out here. You're really seeing the idea of how it's going to go now. Everything will be folded up nice in there and will look pretty nice. So still don't know if I'm going to dye everything yet or not. It's kind of a hard decision, but I can always do that after I assemble it, just slap some dye on there. But now it's going to be time to get some tape down, get everything lined up, and get our holes punched. So the next step, like I was saying, is taking this real thin tape stuff and sticking it on there, and then sticking it on this, getting it lined up. And then I'll have to put more on this, stick it down to all this stuck together, and then punch through it. It's kind of a process, but I'll take some, update videos in between. See? Yep. That. You gotta peel off the backing and stick it. Making good progress. First part's all stuck. Now I'm gonna have to get some tape on the back side of this, stick it on here, and then we're good to punch the holes for some stitching. All right, I went ahead and just used, I don't know what this tool's called. I can't remember. It's it like just carves a little line into like your leather work. I like doing that sometimes. It marks where I'm going to be stamping my holes at, and it's going to, allow for my thread to lay like right in that line and look real nice and neat. So what I'm going to be using are, I accidentally stopped my camera, but what I'm going to be using is just 5mm chisels. These are just spaced out to where, it'll line up your thread holes and everything. These have always worked great for me. I've been using them forever. Pretty much these are the only chisels I ever use, but you got all different sizes. You got the large ones, so you can get a bunch of holes all stamped out, and you even got singular ones. So basically going to use this and go all along this edge and punch holes so I can sew it together. There we go. Everything's all nice and punched. Everything's lined up. Now it's time for some stitching. Now I know it might be a little confusing when I'm like, getting not stressed, but trying to figure out what color I want to use. I know I got all those colors, but I also have all these colors of thread. So I could go wild with the colors here. Pinks, purples, greens. I got a little bit of everything. I don't know what would look nice with that. I usually do like dark colors with a light color. So like I might usually do like dark brown with nice orange color to contrast it. But I don't know. Maybe I could have fun with. Oh yeah, I got rainbow. All right, we're using rainbow. It kind of sucks I don't have my tripod, so I can't really film this. But basically, this thread goes through the holes, and I'm going to be stitching the whole thing saddle stitch wise. So, one side goes in that way, the other side goes in the other way, then you tighten it together. But, all right, let's get this sewn together. There you go. Everything fits in nice and snug. Everything's nice and, stitching lines are pretty straight. I'm pretty pleased with it. Now I got to figure out what I want to do for, the tab going over, because, I want this to fold down. I just got to figure out how I want it to attach, and I definitely don't want this to be as long as it is. I might go about like halfway or whatever, so I'll have to figure out what I'm doing. All right, I'd consider that done. I put a silver snap on there instead because the I didn't think the brass of the 12 gauge would really match the random look I'm going for, so I just chose silver. But yeah, it all fits together nice. Snap works great. Still don't know what I'm going to do dye-wise, but, you know, still looks good. So if you'd like to see me make a video about this thing, because I'm planning on doing that anyway, let me know in the comments below, because, I don't know, I like these little gimmicky survival things, so I'm excited to go out and try it out, but I'll, you know, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.